Well, the Cowboys loaded up and ready for camp in SoCal. The boys getting ready to roll with another summer filled with questions such as what a healthy Dak Prescott looks like, Parsons' contract situation, and probably the biggest storyline under the radar, Brian Schottenheimer, year one as the head coach of the Cowboys, is a big deal. When it comes to the offseason this past, compared to others, Jerry Jones has been busy kind of retooling and helping Schotty maybe with this roster rebuild. But if you ask All-Pro guard Tyler Smith about this year's expectations, they are pretty high.
Super Bowl champions. That's always the expectation. So, yeah.
I think that's a realistic goal.
I think it is a realistic goal because we can win the Super Bowl. Like, why not? Why can't we win?
We couldn't even get a helmet on. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it as always. It's always super early, but this is what we're dealing with when it's the Cowboys. Take a look at it when it comes to some of those offseason moves. A lot of those familiar faces taking talents elsewhere. DeMarcus Lawrence was a longtime Cowboy, now out there in Seattle. Jordan Lewis, that slot DB. Heart and soul, I like to say, when it comes to that secondary now in Jacksonville. But the additions, there's a few out there. Jerry has been busy, as I mentioned. George Pickens, the biggest of them all. Wide receiver 1 or 2, depending on how you see it. Others, some moves there to help some depth when it comes to what we've seen in the past. All right, joining us now, our Cowboys insider, Garrett Podell, a.k.a. Jerry Jones' best buddy, now in the making there. Before we get into this roster here, Garrett, have to start with the man in charge, Brian Schottenheimer, year one. It's a big deal that maybe has been flying under the radar, but had a few tweaks to maybe changing the culture. What have you seen or heard from Schotty and that effect he's had so far?
Brandon, very happy to join you here on the first day of Cowboys training camp. And yes, his big kind of vibe shift has been compete every day. And that's been in an effort to kind of bring all sides of the roster together. For example, he's got a 10-foot basketball hoop in the players' lounge, the team facility. He has a mini basketball hoop in his office, something he challenged new wide receiver George Pickens to, he told me right after he first met him. And he said it's to kind of bring everybody together. And I think kind of the biggest example of that is in the locker room. They moved a ping pong table in the middle of there. And on the last day mandatory minicamp, when I was in there observing and talking to players before break, Jay Toya, the 7th-round rookie defensive tackle, and Micah Parsons were going head-to-head in a ping pong battle, and that had the entire locker room, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Pickens, everyone standing around the table, yelling, hooting, and hollering, kind of bringing the team together. Because you mentioned DeMarcus Lawrence leaving. He and Micah Parsons had a little Twitter spat about the culture and was everybody on the same page and really locking in focus. So Schottenheimer's been really intentional about bringing the team together in those ways, and then also just with little personal touches here and there. He told me when Osa Odigizua, the defensive tackle, the Cowboys re-signed to a 4-year, $80 million contract just prior to the start of free agency, he sent him a bottle of champagne at the restaurant he was at, celebrating out to dinner with his family. So it's kind of been about the personal touch and using competition to bring guys together to have kind of a more cohesive unit going into 2025.
Speaking of competition, we have a Papa Shot here now, Garrett. I know it wasn't here when you were here, but I took down our big boss, Tracy, just a couple weeks ago. I'm just putting it out there when we talk about competition. But Micah Parsons, you kind of touched on a little bit. The biggest thing around him is a new contract, and the rumors swirling the two sides are getting closer. It might be resolved during camp. So much surrounding Parsons. What have you heard about this situation?
It's interesting, Brandon, because I spoke to Parsons. I've spoken to him a number of times this offseason, but after the Week 17 or 18 finale against Washington, I was standing in the hallway of AT&T Stadium, and he said to me that he was going to set a meeting with Jerry Jones early because he knows Jerry likes to take his time, really deliberate about these contract extensions. So they met in Jerry's suite at the college football playoff semifinal Cotton Bowl matchup between Ohio State and Texas in early January. Let's get the ball rolling on that extension because Micah has repeated over and over again that he has, quote, a sense of urgency to get this done, wanted to carve out cap space so the Cowboys could be big players in free agency. And so he's been really intentional talking to Jerry about it. He and Jerry Jones have had direct one-on-one conversations about it, and he's kind of encouraged Jerry to bring in agent David Mulligetta into the fold and kind of hammer out the fine details and get this deal done. Jerry, you know, he's kind of joked about not really knowing David Mulligetta's name, which of course he knows because he's has clients on the Cowboys and high-powered stars around the league. And this is something that Jerry appreciated Micah showing up to mandatory minicamp. I watched as Jerry talked to Micah during 11-on-11 work at mandatory minicamp, and they really had a heart-to-heart. Jerry said, I appreciate the leadership you've shown. As you can see here, Micah, unlike some other guys like Trey Hendrickson, TJ Watt, when he wasn't signed, practiced at mandatory minicamps. You can see some of these pictures I took here. And that just showed that Micah is all in on the team and being a leader. So he's done everything right, gotten all the leadership brownie points that Jerry wanted to see. So now it's time for Jerry to get this deal done. And you would think that after CeeDee Lamb held out a training camp last year before getting his deal, by the time they got back to Frisco from Oxnard, California at the end of camp, that this would get done pretty soon here. But this is Jerry Jones. He kind of operates on a deadlines make deals mentality, and the ball is squarely in Jerry's court now to get one of the best pass rushers in the league done.
We talk about it. Yesterday's prices, not today's price. And we just saw what TJ Watt got, and, of course, Micah in that same ballpark. So, Jerry, keep waiting and playing that game if you want to. He's going to rob the bank. I want to take a look at some of those position battles, because that's mainly what training camp is about, getting the business out the way with the head coach and the money problems. What battle are you watching the most out of all the positions there?
I mean, I think the most exciting position battle for fans is clearly the running backs, right? Because it's a clean slate. For years, you had prime Ezekiel Elliott. Tony Pollard made the Pro Bowl as the Cowboys running back. And Rico Dowdle last year, first undrafted Cowboys running back to go for over 1,000 yards. He's now a Carolina Panther. Brand new running back room. They bring in Denver Broncos leading rusher Javonte Williams, who was a second-round pick back in 2021. Miles Sanders, who was with the Eagles and most recently the Panthers. And Javonte Williams, he's probably the leader in the clubhouse entering training camp, because I asked Schottenheimer to kind of give me a breakdown of the running back room at the end of minicamp. And he said Javonte's really stood out with, quote, his intentionality at practice. And he remembers saying to Dak Prescott, hey, tell Javonte to do this for a certain pass blocking assignment on a play. And Dak looked back at Schottenheimer, and Dak told Schottenheimer, quote, Javonte's a valedictorian. So that kind of shows just the mastery Williams already has of the offense. Both he and Sanders, the vets, are kind of in the driver's seat early entering minicamp. But look out for Jadon Blue, their 5th-round rookie running back pick out of Texas. He's somebody who, when Will McClay was asked about Jadon Blue on the end of the draft, he used the word explosive not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times. Will McClay, the VP of Player Personnel, used the word explosive to describe Blue. Schottenheimer at the end of minicamp said, a lot of these college players, they look to the sideline to read the cards, get the plays in. So if Blue can master the playbook, he'll certainly be a factor as well at camp. It'll be exciting to see when the pads come on, because that's really when you can evaluate these guys as runners, and that's what we'll find out here in Oxnard, California, coming up these next few weeks.
Yeah, we'll see how that running back position looks. Blue, a lot of people are saying he's a faster version of Tony Pollard, but I can't wait to see, like you said, till we get the pads on. Before I let you go, we got about 30 seconds here. I need you to put in professor cap and give me a grade about this offseason about the Cowboys, because they made a lot of moves. They've kind of been under the radar when it comes to those headlines outside of the Micah thing. What are you giving them in terms of a grade?
I'd give them a B- because it was an improvement in their free agency spending this year. A year ago, they spent the fewest amount of money, kind of allowed Mike McCarthy to go into 2024 as a lame duck. They did, bolster the roster, signing Solomon Thomas at defensive tackle, making trades, getting Kyer Elam, a former first-round pick corner from the Bills, to bolster their secondary. So I like some of the depth chart moves they made. The George Pickens trade, to me, was fantastic, because even if he leaves a year from now in free agency, they can get a compensatory pick that's close to that 3rd-round pick value that they parted with in that trade. So I loved the George Pickens move, but I can only go as high as B- because when you don't have the league's best pass rusher, Micah Parsons, who's 330 quarterback pressures since he entered the NFL in 2021, tied for the most in the NFL. When you don't have a guy like that signed under long-term contract, when he's taken the onus to really get the ball rolling on those talks, can't go higher than B-. But the draft was solid, and free agency, they did all right.
All right, Garrett, I called you before this segment, Jerry's best friend. You have 46 days into the first game to get that one-on-one with Jerry and the Jets. So you got to do it. It's already out there. You got to do it. Can we get that done?
We'll see. I'll get back to you. Have me back on, and you'll find out.
See, I know I can count on you. As always, Garrett Podell tapped in with the Cowboys. Appreciate it, my friend. Taking a look at some of those dates when it comes to everything surrounding the Cowboys. As I mentioned, 46 days to that meeting with the champs and the Eagles. Thursday night, week 1 under the lights. It's going to be scary in Philly. Taking on the Giants and Bears and Packers and Jets those first 5 weeks. And then we'll see the second half of the season, 11 through 16. It's going to be a barn burner. Good luck. Good luck to us all.
I don't know if that one-on-one's going to happen, but I hope it does on the PJ.
It has to happen. That's his buddy.
They got to come pick you up.
I don't want no parts of that. I'm good. I'm going to have some words for Jerry. I'm going to have some words. They will not